I know at a young age you met Michael Jackson, you became
Yeah.
Michael Jackson's bodyguard. That was only about 20 though, right?
No, it's kind of around this period.
Or was
So
that around this period? So how did this all evolve from here?
Yeah, so I had 5 schools, but I owned those schools. They were mine. And they were all pumping out great money. I was doing $1 million a year. I bought my first house. And then what happened is a news agency came in. Now this guy he supplied stories to the media, basically. You know how that works. Southwest News. And he come in, and he had his children train at my martial arts academy, the big one, the building. And he got a calculator out, and he's not stupid. He realised I was doing a lot of money. I had a supercar at the time as well. I think I might have had a Porsche, a 911 or something like that, a gold one. So it's quite random for an 18-year-old to have one of them. He got the calculator.
Gold one.
Yeah, I wish I kept it. It'd be worth a fortune now, wouldn't it? Yeah, in a little town, and I wonder why people hated me back then in that town, you know. But he came in, he said, listen, Matt, I want to do a story. My kids love it here. He had a son and daughter. You were bullied at school. They all knew my story, no qualifications. You're clearly doing very well. And he took some pictures of me, interviewed me. And I thought this was the local paper, Joe. And I said, will this be local paper then? Do you think? Yeah, I think there's a good chance it'll be. Flipping heck. 2 days later, it was the front page of every tabloid. Bully boy becomes millionaire. And a picture of me in a karate suit, picture of me when I was a little vulnerable 7-year-old. I looked like like a kid who's going to get a kick in, basically. And they did the contrast. Me sat in my car. It was everywhere. And it was when mainstream media, newspapers were massive, like 20 million copies a day. So you knew it. When you're in the paper back then, you flipping knew it. People knocking on your door, talking about you everywhere you go. It was like, whoa, this is mad. Just gone from being like Andrew Tate would say, a brokey, as a lifeguard and a bedsit. I almost got evicted from my £35 rent to having this money. Now I'm being like talked about everywhere. I'm on the front page of all these tabloids and broadsheets. Then on the back of that, how it works is all the TV shows, they scan the papers, they look for good stories, they invite you on TV. So back then, some of you here look like you're old enough to remember it, the shows. You had Esther Ramson, you remember that one? Trisha, Kilroy, she's nodding her head, so she must be similar age to me. You don't look it, you look about 20. But Esther Ramson, Kilroy, and then we did the BBC. Then it wasn't Good Morning Britain, it was GMTV, I believe. Richard and Judy did all these shows. Yeah, it kind of made me like a household name back then. And it came to the attention of Uri Geller. Do you remember Uri? Yeah, so Uri's like, I know here he's known as the spoon bender, right? But around the world, he's famous in every country of the world. And he sells out stadiums, and he's got TV shows, a bit like X Factor. It's called The Next Uri Geller, where people audition to be like him. In America, it's called Phenomenon. And I don't know why, he had this saying that you can't be a prophet in your hometown, because England don't really give him the respect. Very wealthy man, especially property, extremely wealthy man. He lives in Israel now. He's got the Uri Geller Museum there. He's 76 now, and we're very, very close friends. So came to his attention. He wanted to meet me. He told his bodyguards that, get hold of this guy. I want him to do a self-defense video, because he's all about what he's about, positive thinking, overcoming bullying. And then Uri was going to do the mind power of staying positive, don't be negative, you are what you believe, and so on. And we're going to record a VHS and distribute it to schools all across the UK free of charge. So I went to see him. Now his house is something else, right? So when you're that kind of age, you drive down to that house. It's a replica of the White House next to George Clooney's place in Sondheim-on-Thames in Reading. So I was like, whoa. Because one parent said to me, all respect to Uri, I didn't know who he was. Oh, look, hi Uri, I forgot I was being recorded. Maybe a little bit when I was a kid, but I didn't really know much about him. But my parents said, you've got to meet this guy, because he's extremely famous, and in the 70s he was a massive, massive name. So I drive down, the gates open up, and I'm thinking, whoa, this is what I want. This is where I want to be. I mean, the place is worth 20 million. And I thought, where does the spoon bit come in, you know? And then I met his assistant, and Uri comes in all full of energy, and then towards the end, he did the spoon, and I was like, frick, man, I want to be like this guy. But yeah, not so much the spoon bit. I did go home and try it for about 3 hours though at the end. It didn't work. Yeah, I want to be like this guy. Anyway, we just got on really well. He became godfather of my daughter. The only thing he didn't mention, nor did I really care, I knew he was very influential, and he advised a lot of celebrities, superstars in the past, like John Lennon, Elvis Presley and people like that. He's from that era. But just by mad coincidence, but I don't know, I know what prompted it now, but back then, about 3 o'clock in the morning, and it's not unusual for Uri Geller to ring you at 3 o'clock in the morning because he's got companies all around the world, he's famous around the world, he's got books all around the world, all translated. So I'll pick up the phone and he said, hey Uri, you got to come to my house now. If you don't come to my house now, you're going to regret it for the rest of your life. And you can't tell anyone you come in to my house, where you're going. I said, well, what's going on? Everything all right? He said, I can't tell you. How am I going to explain this to my missus? I'm going off at 3 in the morning, going to your place. This looks well dodgy. He said, I love you, bye, see you in a minute. Put the phone down. So I got in my car, and I had a Ferrari, and I drove to Europe. I got there for about 6:30 in the morning. Gates open up, go down the driveway. Nothing really significant. I saw a few black SUVs outside. Go inside, go into Uri's living room, and this skinny guy walks up to me and bows, said, hi, Master Fides. My name's Michael Jackson. Pleased to meet you. And I'm thinking, I know who you are, but what the hell are you doing here? Is this a prank show or something, or what? The guy's like, looking for cameras, because there's this prank show out back then. I don't know what it's called now.
Jeremy Beadle.
Jeremy Beadle, yeah. And Candid Camera. And I thought, Uri stitched me out. He's his contact now. He's got me on flipping Jeremy Beadle. I was waiting for Jeremy Beadle to pop out any minute or something, you know. And I thought, this is Michael. And then I realised those two are best buddies. And so far that Uri had actually designed Michael's album cover for an album called Invincible. And he was named in the album. I don't know why I never picked up on it, but me and Mike got on really well. We stayed up talking all day, all night, and yeah, you know, I had a little Lotus Elise. That's what I had, a little yellow one, really humble. And I drove there with the Lotus Elise, and Michael was fascinated by it. He called it a frog because it had like little eyes at the front. He had this sense of humour, so he wanted to go out on it. So I was thinking, you want me to drive you around Reading? Michael Jackson in my Lotus. Yeah, that'd be cool. Let's do it, Matt. So that's what we did. So we drove around, and people like waving, thinking it was a lookalike. It was a real deal. Security followed us. They had a car behind us and stuff. But I was driving around, top down in the Lotus Elise with MJ to my left. He was waving at everyone. He was loving it, you know. So I love this frog. I want to buy one of these frogs. Let's send one of these to Neverland. And we became best buddies. And then at the end, I thought, I get on well with this guy. It turned out he's already a black belt. Joseph Jackson, his dad, made all the Jackson 5 learn martial arts because of their fame. And he wanted to get his second dan. And it's very hard for him, as you imagine. He can't rock up to a class. And Uri knew I was already wealthy. I didn't need any money because people were always trying to attach themselves to him and milk him for money or fame or whatever it may be. He knew he could trust me to be his friend because he had a very lack of friends. His security bill at the time was about $150,000 a month. So I could wipe that off and use my team, my instructor and myself to help him out. We didn't talk much about it at that period of time, but that's how I learned that's what triggered it. Plus he wanted to meet Bruce Lee's daughter. So what Michael Jackson did is that he would study the greats in the world and then take bits from them and then make it better. So his dancing evolved from Fred Astaire and Pete James Brown. He would study them as a young kid. Like Stevie Wonder said to me once, he said, that young Michael used to drive me mad. Question. I know I couldn't see him, but hearing him was enough. He's just all the time, just learning how can you get this song? How do you get this beat? How can you design that? And yeah, I thought I'd take my shot. So Michael, can I have your number? I'll give you a ring at some point to stay in touch. Oh, I don't have a phone. Oh, here we go. Don't have a phone. I'll take your number. It's like one of those dates that go wrong, you know? Yeah. So I said, yeah, all right, here's my number. So I'm going to give you a call in 2 weeks. He's going to New York. So, okay. Anyway, about 2 months went past, heard nothing. You imagine me, right? 18, 19, going back to my family. Where have you been this weekend? Driving Michael Jackson around Reading in my Lotus Elise and watching movies with him, and they think I'm freaking mad. So Uri didn't want me to say anything because it's like a little inner circle we had. Muhammad Al-Fayed and Uri and Britney Spears and people like that. And yeah, so anyway, a couple months later, we had proper answer phones back then, the big built-in ones at my martial arts school. And my brother who worked for me at the time, he was a receptionist, called up saying, Matt, you want effing believe, effing this, effing that. Michael effing Jackson's left a 3-minute voice note. He's got tickets for you to go to New York and spend some time with him at a hotel. And it's by Concord as well. And yeah, I played it about 300 times. And I went out seeing him. I stayed with him for 3 or 4 weeks, and then we became solid mates. And then, just by chance, to answer your question, what happened the next stage is that you heard the saying that billionaires are very interested in the people they meet because they get asked a lot. So Michael was a billionaire, and he was very curious about what I did. He said, how's your business going? So I've got 5 schools, but I can't go any bigger because the next town's 40 miles away. I can never get someone to travel that far. And he said, sure you can. It's called franchising. But he franchised his brand.
Some seats over here, guys at the back. Come and grab a seat. Yeah, no worries.
He franchised his brand and licensed his brand. He did the biggest endorsement deal ever back then with Pepsi Cola. And he wrote on a napkin, I wish I kept it, this is what you got to do. And it's things like systemize your business and so on. Be good at media, manipulating the media, making sure you're getting your name out there all the time. And then he would keep me accountable. And he introduced me to a franchise lawyer, his franchise lawyer. So, yeah, I was in trouble then because I had Uri Geller pushing me to stop buying these supercars and buy houses because he's really, and I hated him for it. I love him for it now because I've got loads of houses and it's all down to him, if I'm brutally honest, and keeping me accountable. Then I had Michael Jackson ringing me up. How many franchises have you sold? How many students? And I'm thinking, dear me, this phone call's going to come in.
Why did he tell you to franchise it? Or what was the inspiration behind the franchising?
It's because he felt, his exact words to me, if I could be a poor boy from Gary, Indiana, where my dad goes to a steel mill, can't feed us some days, and we have to supply from handouts, and he's got shoes with holes in, and have the biggest selling album in the world, Thriller, and fill up stadiums, you can find a way to get an instructor to go 40 miles away. And the easiest way to do that is franchising, scaling quicker. You see that for me, it was a major obstacle. My career is finished. I've got my 5 schools, got my property. I'm happy. But for him, I ain't done nothing yet, basically is his words. I'm not even, I could go massive with this thing. So, yeah, he kept me accountable on that. So the phone calls would go like this. I'd avoided him purposely a lot. It's landlines, remember? So he would ring up, he would catch me, rehearsal wife at the time. She'd answer the phone. Michael's on the phone. Oh, tell him I'll ring him back, you know. He really wants to speak to you. Yeah, I know, but I haven't hit my target this month. Tell him I'll ring him back, and then I'd wait a few days to come in. Michael Jackson on the phone. I can't keep ignoring the phone calls Michael Jackson. This is crazy. We live in Barnstable. This shouldn't be happening. And then one morning in particular, Saturday morning, I tend to sleep in on my, I'm like the anti-5 a.m. club. It's about midday, and it went like this. It went, Michael Jackson's on the phone. I'm tired. I'll ring him back. No problem. Uri Geller's called. He wants you to ring him back urgently. I'll ring him back later on when I wake up. Britney Spears was on the phone. Yeah, I'll ring her back too later on. Then I thought to myself, I went to sleep, this ain't freaking normal. This ain't normal. But yeah, he kept me accountable. I would avoid it, because the conversation would be like, how many schools you opened up, Matt? I've done 20. Well done. And how many members in each one? About 50, 60 in each one? Oh, well done, Matt. And then I throw the question back to him. How did you do? Great, I've just signed a 70 million deal to tour Korea. And I come off the phone feeling like crap, you know, like I need to up my game. And I was on my Argos like beta freaking phone, and I can imagine him with his gold-plated phone from Neverland. But yeah, we became best buddies. He kept me accountable. We opened up 400 sites that year, and became the biggest martial arts brand in the world. I mean, it was just, by the time I was 29, I was worth 30 million. It was just, but I was part of an exclusive mastermind. I didn't realize it, Joe, did I? We didn't have that word back then. So I was having dinner with Mohammed Al-Fayed and Michael and Daryl Hannah and stuff like that, you know. So yeah, it was abnormal life, nor would I change it, but I didn't do the clubbing, the going out. I kind of gave that up because these people I was with, that's not how they roll. That's not how they roll. That's where I was with them, they were talking about ideas, not to make money, but to change the world, and on the back of that, the money come. They would think out of this one. That kind of rubbed off on me. When he died, I realized that, yeah, that was a very unique mastermind that I was part of.
Yeah, I love that. You're part of a mastermind without even knowing that you were part of a mastermind.